Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to compare two Ficus benjamina cuttings, and I'm just going to talk about how much better this one has done with the grow lamps as opposed to this one just on a normal sunny windowsill. And this will give you some kind of indication as to how well a plant, say on a house plant on a windowsill does compared with a plant that's outside in a more tropical environment. And it gives you an indication of how tricky it can be to grow plants here in Scotland. So the story of these start back in December. There were still cuttings of water back then, and I'll just show you a little clip now. And interestingly, this one is actually slightly larger. I think it's got one more leaf than this one, and it also has a slightly thicker stem, and I think also just a little bit more roots as well. So I'll show you that now. As you can see, with that bottom bit cut off, it's got quite a nice root system, and they actually do radiate out in quite a nice pattern. As you can see, they were both a lot smaller back then. Then the next video I think is February, and this one had just started to go into a grow lamp situation. Before that they were both on a sunny windowsill. This one probably only had a few days under a grow lamp before I showed that video. But you'll notice it's already starting to get some of this kind of banding and darker leaf colour than this one in the video. So this one should do really well. I'm going to keep this under the grow lamps I think. I'm keeping it in a high humidity, high temperature situation. Get some really rapid growth. So that was February. These have really come on since then. This one didn't really do much until the last month. That's because it's been very dark here in Scotland, so it hasn't had a great deal of growth. But you can see just in the last few weeks it's got all this nice new growth starting to come on it. There's a lot of young shoots and it's really starting to look quite healthy. So this has just been sitting on an average sunny windowsill, south facing. It gets the sunshine from about 9 in the morning, maybe a bit earlier, 8 in the morning, until probably about 11. So that gets quite a bit of direct sunlight when we do actually have sunny weather. Whereas this one's been underneath a grow lamp consistently. So the grow lamp this has been under is this 30-watt LED grow lamp. It's got a mixture of red and blue LEDs. And it also has a couple of white LEDs, which I think are the yellow ones you can see there. And I think these two closest ones are also UV. So there's also a bit of UV light coming out of this as well. So it's been quite close. It's probably been, you know, just about that close to it. Probably about 10 centimeters. At times though, this actually lifted up and it was literally almost touching it, but it didn't seem to have any burn issues. I think part of the reason for that is I was growing this with my heated propagator. So it's not just the light difference, it's also the heat. This has probably been around 18 degrees or so on the windowsill here, whereas this one's been at about 25 degrees in the heated propagator. And I'll just show you now a picture of what my heated propagator looks like, just in case you're curious as to what it is. So that's kept the environment a bit more humid for the plant and a lot warmer, and that's really helped with the growth as well as the stronger light intensity. This hasn't had any natural light whatsoever. If it did have any natural light, it was very indirect, and it was pretty much in a shady spot, so it was such a small amount of natural light I wouldn't even count it. It's basically all the growth has been carried out underneath the grow lamps. And if I turn it, you will see it really is quite large now. It's got all these side branches coming on it, loads of healthy new growth. You can see it growing really vigorously. Whereas you compare it with this one, it's only got a little bit of new growth, and this one is probably now 3 times the size, the one that's been under the grow lamp, than this one here on the right. Also the leaves are a lot glossier. You can see how shiny and glossy those leaves are. These leaves aren't quite as shiny and glossy, but they're still not too bad. Colour wise, there's not much difference in the leaves, but you'll notice these are slightly darker. Now, not the new leaves because they're quite fresh, so they're still quite bright, but you can see the old leaves are almost black in colour. Whereas these ones are not quite as dark, so these have got more chlorophyll, so that's another reason why they're growing faster. They're basically, because they've had more light, they've been able to pack more chlorophyll into their leaves to absorb more light per square centimetre. Whereas these, because it's a bit of a dull light, if they put a lot of chlorophyll in their leaves, they're not really going to get the most out of it. So the plant doesn't invest as much energy into that. But you can see it's really looking quite nice. It's kind of hung over at the moment because I've actually pushed it down. I'm wanting to use this as a cascade plant, as a bonsai, so I'm actually going to be training this soon in another video. But that's just a quick video just to show you the difference that a bit of heat and a bit of light can give to a plant. And that's why I'm going to try and get some more grow lamps if I can. I'm going to be growing a lot more plants under grow lamps. Now come summertime, the results from this will probably be quite different. This one will be a lot more similar to how this one's doing, but I'm pretty sure this one would still be a lot better just because of the higher temperatures and the higher light intensities. Even in midsummer, I'm not likely to get as good a light intensity as I can off a grow lamp. And also my temperatures in my flat might get up to 22, 23 degrees, but they certainly won't be as high as 25 degrees. So that's just a quick, as I say, a quick video, and it's quite interesting to see the results. Absolutely massive results. Both were fed similar amounts of feed. This one, they were both fed the same amount of feed at the beginning, but this one was given a little bit more feed later on. The reason for that is because it's been growing so fast, it's used up all the original feed and then can be fed again. This one, when it was fed a second time, got a lower dose of feed because it hasn't been growing much. And to be honest, over winter time, I don't normally feed my plants at all. The reason being, if you feed them over winter and they're not growing, they're not going to use that feed, and it's going to be very salty and a bit strong around the roots, and that can kind of damage the roots. But if they're growing fast and they're going to use the feed straight away, then you can keep feeding quite regularly. The salt levels aren't going to build up because the plant's just going to absorb it and put the nutrients into its stems and new leaves. So that's it for this video. You'll see this one soon in a future video. This one I'm just going to leave. I'm not just sure what I'm going to do with this cutting, but this one is certainly going to become a cascade bonsai. It just needs to get a little bit bigger and then it'll be ready to go into its new pot.